Everyone, is fun around, and my name is Jordan. And how about those Buckeyes? I will be in Atlanta for the national championship game. Already got my tickets, ready to go. Very excited to see the Buckeyes play against the Irish. Before this video, I've seen a lot of people say that they do like me breaking down the entire slate because there are 0 lines out for the games. So I will continue to break down the slate, and I will put my final plays in the pinned comment. So as always, I will give some matchups that I see, some good matchups. I'll talk about some injuries, all that good stuff for what I see for each game. Blowout potential, of course. I'll talk about all that. So let's get into this first game. Gonna be the Timberwolves at the Wizards. The Wizards will be on a back-to-back. They just got blown out by the Thunder. A lot of their starters didn't play much. Jordan Poole is usually a guy to chuck up a bunch of shots, and he could be good for 20 plus. That's if this stays close. But one guy I do want to point out for the Timberwolves, obviously blowout potential. You could go with backup type guys who could be playing more in a blowout, like Naz Reid. But a guy to point out who just moved into the starting lineup is Donte DiVincenzo. He just moved into the starting lineup at the point guard position. The Wizards give up the most points to the point guard position, the 7th most rebounds, the 6th most assists, and I can't fit it on the image, but the 4th most three-pointers made. So he jumped into the starting lineup. That gave him a boost and a surge. He scored 27 points on 9 for 14 shooting, 6 from 11 for 3. He also added 10 rebounds and 7 assists, 3 assists away from a triple-double. So Donte DiVincenzo is really hyped up to be in this starting lineup, so he is definitely a guy to keep an eye out on. Obviously, everyone else has a really good matchup against the Wizards. Looking at rebounds, Rudy Gobert has been off and on with his rebounding. He does have very good history against the Wizards, but you could also look at a guy like Julius Randle for points and rebounds. He's been a little bit more consistent when it comes to stuff like rebounding for the bigs positions. And then this next game is going to be the Pistons at the Knicks. The Knicks will be on a back-to-back, and the Knicks just beat the Bucks by 34 points. Jalen Brunson scored over 40. He did get hurt with a shoulder injury, and he returned. So we will see if they play him in this game. And even with the blowout, obviously Tom Thibodeau likes to play his starters. No matter what the score is. Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, and Mikal Bridges all played 35 plus minutes, even with the blowout. So if you feel like there's still blowout potential here, those are your 3 guys you can look to continue to get minutes. Clearly, Karl Anthony Towns rebounds is going to be a play to look at. The Pistons, they don't give up much. They play at a slower pace, and they're pretty good defensively. But it's really their pace that keeps points down against them and rebounds down against them. So if Jalen Brunson is ruled out, and they don't want to risk it on a back-to-back, Josh Hart is a guy to look at for potentially a double-double. He's had a double-double in, I believe, all of 2025. And he's on fire now with rebounding and then getting at least 10 points. So you could keep an eye out for him for like points plus rebounds, and he's a decent facilitator. But a good matchup that is in this game is going to be for the Pistons, and a guy who, whenever I take him, he's not going to shoot well at all, or when I mention him, I haven't taken him yet. These are just matchups that I'm pointing out. So if Malik Beasley, that's what I'm looking at. If his line comes out at 20.5, we're not taking it. But he has been playing well again. He had a couple of bad games, but other than that, he's been playing well. He's coming off the bench again. I think he feels more comfortable in that role. But the Knicks give up the 2nd most points to the shooting guard position. So this is a good spot for him. On December 7th against New York, at New York, he scored 23 points against them. So he has done it. His line is normally around 14, 15.5. So I would prefer the 14.5 side because his volume did go down when he went back to the bench. He was shooting like 20 shots, and then it went down to 10, but a more efficient 10 field goal attempts. And then really earlier in the year, they got blown out by 30 points, and he only scored 8 in that game. So I did want to mention that happened this year. But in a competitive game, he has played really well against New York. So if you guys could, please like the video. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. If you have a little bit of extra time, just leave a comment for the algorithm. You just say hello, and that gets this video out there for more people to see. And also, if you want to get away from something like Prizepicks with all those flat lines and all that stuff, you want more options, dynamic payouts, deposit matches, all that good stuff. Try out Underdog Fantasy, Sleeper, ParlayPlay, ChalkBoard, or BETR. BETR is, they're not doing a match up to $200 anymore. They're doing a single bet match up to $250 for first time. And then the rest are doing a match up to $100. Links are in the description. That'll take you there with the promo code. Promo code is fine around 11. This next game is the Warriors and the Raptors. The Raptors had sucked for a while, and they're still losing games, but they're starting to become a little bit more competitive. They were competitive with the Cavaliers, and I just watched them lose to the Pacers. So the Cavaliers are kind of losing a little bit steam after that Thunder game. But the Raptors have a lot of guys who can hit props, and they respect the props when they are playing well. And one of those guys is Scotty Barnes. And the Warriors give up the 7th most points and the 9th most rebounds to the power forward position. And he has been playing pretty well there over the last 10 games since he came back from injury. He's averaging 20.5 points, 8 rebounds, and then 5.5 assists to go on top of that. And then on the other side of things for the Warriors, they're pretty hard to trust. Andrew Wiggins off and on. Even Steph Curry has been kind of off and on. Dennis Schroeder kind of off and on. But Steph is the one with a really good matchup here, and he has been rebounding well over the past few games. So turning to the new year in 2025, Steph Curry is averaging 26 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and then 5.5 three-pointers made on 12 three-point attempts a game. And the Raptors, they give up a lot of points in general, but they're giving up the 3rd most points to the point guard position, and then the 10th most rebounds, and the most three-pointers made to the point guard position. So really good matchup here for Steph Curry. His next game is going to be the Grizzlies versus the Rockets. I thought this looked pretty familiar when I looked at it. I looked back a few days, and on January 9th last week, they played against each other. The Rockets won 119 to 115. Now the Rockets will be playing in Houston at their home. There was one guy who stuck out in that game that I'm going to point out. It's Alfred Sengun. He scored very well against Memphis. They give up the 5th most points to the center position and the 12th most rebounds. He had 32 points and 14 rebounds. I did think he got some extra rebounds because Amen Thompson got in foul trouble really quickly in the 3rd quarter. So if the rebounds line comes out super high, I wouldn't take it. But the scoring was legit. He was scoring early and often and throughout the game, and it was pretty easy for him. And I know the games, these matchups like this where they're playing pretty close to each other back to back, they're not going to be exact replicas or anything like that. But he has a good matchup, and there are players who can consistently do it, multiple games in a row against the same team. The next guy who I think has a good matchup is Jaren Jackson Jr. He played well in that game. We'll see where his points line comes out at. They give up the 8th most points to the power forward position and the 8th most blocks to the power forward position. So he did have 21 points and 6 blocks in that game. So that's where you have to think a guy like Alfred Sengun, he's not getting very vertical. It's just a lot of skilled post moves. Help defender like Jaren Jackson Jr. coming in from the power forward spot could come over and get some blocks. So the Rockets are giving up a decent amount of blocks to that power forward position. So keep an eye out for Triple J's block line. And then these last 2 games, the LA teams decided, okay, it's time to start playing the games again. I know they have all the wildfires going on out there and everything. They couldn't postpone, everything for the next month or however long this is going to last. Prayers out to the families affected by all of that. But we have the Heat at the Clippers. A matchup that I like is going to be Jaime Jaquez Jr. The Clippers give up the 6th most points to the small forward position, and with Jimmy Butler out. Over the last 5 games, he's averaging 15.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he's playing pretty well. The points is where the good matchup is at. And then on the other side of things, Zubac has a really good matchup with rebounding against the Heat. Took Walker Kessler a couple of days back. Walker Kessler got a ton of rebounds against the Heat. They give up the 9th most rebounds to the center position. position. He's averaging 15 points and then 13.5 rebounds over the last 10 games. So very good matchup here for Zubac rebounds. And then this final game is going to be the Spurs at the Lakers. So I like Victor Wembanyama. Lakers give up the second most rebounds to the center position. He's averaging 12.5 rebounds against the Lakers in his career. And over the last 10 games, he's averaging 12.5 rebounds. So if we get a line at like 10.5 or 11.5, that we're getting lower than what he's averaging recently and historically against the Lakers. So I like Victor Wembanyama for that. And then this next guy, last time I mentioned him, he broke on the court without anyone touching him. It's going to be Anthony Davis against the Spurs. Spurs give up the third most points to the center position. In 4 games against Victor Wembanyama in his career, he's averaging 31 points and 12.5 rebounds himself. So good matchup there for Anthony Davis against Victor Wembanyama. Big man type matchup. Side note, Lakers do give up a lot of assists. I did check Chris Paul assists. They played twice this year. He had one really good game with 11 assists, and he had another one where he didn't get that many. So if his line does come out low, Lakers give up a decent amount of assists to the point guard position. So that's just one I'm keeping an eye out on. Just that really bad assist game, it's just kind of throwing me off there. So if you guys would like to discuss lines further, I have a Discord. Link is in the description. You can talk about NFL playoff football. You can talk about college football. I know there's just one game left. And of course, NBA. That's all free. You can hop on in there. And then as far as a recap goes of the last video, I had Ben Mathurin assist. He got that. Nikola Vucevic rebounds. He got that. Derek White, I don't know what's wrong with him as of late. He's not taking many shots. His volume has been very low. Points, assists, he did not go over. I did have Giannis points, assist. He crushed that. And then Gershon Yabusele over points, rebounds, or points, rebounds, and assists, and he did not get that. His numbers were super high with Embiid and Drummond out, and then they just shot back down. So just one of those guys you can't trust. Every time I mention him, he pretty much does not show up. So staying away from him. So I'm going to get this edited and get it out to you. God bless you all. It's final round. My name is Jordan. I will catch you on the next one. Bye.